Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. We think that this is a very important evening for all of you. My name's Amy Kurjanowicz. I'm Director of Counseling here at George Mason High School. And this is Valerie Chesley, one of our counselors at George Mason High School. And we have two other academic counselors at George Mason as well. We obviously have our middle school counseling department. We have Katie, Matt, and Alyssa, and hopefully you know all of them. Just to let you know, we work very closely together, not just on an evening like tonight, but in the transition of your students from 8th grade to 9th grade. And we follow up with them throughout high school. They're always asking us how your kids are doing. So just so you know, when they leave, they don't forget them. Tonight's event is specifically going over what's required of each student to get a Virginia diploma in a public school. We're not going to be discussing courses tonight. We will be discussing courses a week from tomorrow night on February 10th, same place, and we'll go over specific courses for 9th graders. In addition, on the 10th, we will have representatives from most of the departments called our CERTs and/or department leaders. They're in charge of those departments. They'll be able to answer specific questions for you on different courses. So if we could refrain from course questions tonight and hold those till next week, I think that would be great. So again, we're going to go over, there are two types of diplomas that a student in Virginia can get, and they must receive one of them to be considered a graduate in the state of Virginia. The first diploma that we're going to go over is called the Standard Diploma. And by the way, this is very informal, so if you have questions, stop me, okay? We're going to go over a standard diploma. Again, I said there are two diploma types. There's a standard and then there's an advanced. We'll go over the advanced next. The standard has minimum requirements, or minimal requirements, I should say. The advanced requires more. They must have a minimum of 22 credits total to graduate. And when I say 22 as a minimum, I really mean that. Most of our students take many more than 22 credits. How many of your students are taking high school credit-bearing classes while at MEH or have taken high school credit-bearing classes? So automatically, they're coming to high school already starting with some credits that will go towards their graduation. Okay, for every student in the state of Virginia, they must have 4 years of English. And again, we're not going to be discussing specific courses tonight, but let me just share with you that there are many avenues of which to take courses here at George Mason High School to satisfy these requirements. So they take English in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade.
And this right here is, this is what we call the credit check sheet, and it's something that we use with our students
we have one microphone.
All throughout high school, so we can help plan with them. We pull it out every time we meet with them and we say, okay, where are you in terms of your progress towards graduation, which diploma? Each box represents a semester, so after they've completed English 9, two of those boxes will be checked.
Right, so what Valerie's talking about are these boxes here, because we're on a semester basis. At the end of the first semester, which we're just finishing up now, they get a half of a credit. At the end of the second semester, they'll get another half of a credit, totaling their 1 full credit of English 9. Then for social studies, many of our students at MEH right now are taking World Civilizations 1. When they complete that course this year, they'll come to us with a transcript from Mary Ellen Henderson showing 1 credit, high school credit of World Civilizations 1. They'll also sit for the SOL exam in May. And if they pass the class, and if they pass the SOL, they'll get something called a verified credit. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. Yes?
So that's a full year credit?
Yes. At the end of the year, it will be worth a full year's. Yes, absolutely. A full year's credit. But for a standard, they need 3 years of social studies at a minimum. And again, they're coming, most of them are coming to us with 1. They need at least 3 years of math at Algebra 1 and above. And many of our students coming from MEH as well are coming to us with math credit. If they're taking pre-algebra in 8th grade, that is not considered high school math credit. it will lead them to take Algebra 1 in 9th grade. Again, each square represents a semester. 2 squares represents a year. And then at the end of the year, wherever there's an SOL for a course that they've taken, they'll take the SOL. And if they pass both, they get a verified credit. They have to have at least 3 years of science in at least two different disciplines. It has to be in the biological, the chemical, or the physical. By the way, has everyone picked up one of these sheets? Okay. This will be for you as a guide. It's in our program of studies, not in this design, but going through the same exact information. But hopefully this will help you as a guide. And as Ms. Chesley said, we use this in the counseling department all the time. So they have to have at least 2 different disciplines and 3 years of science. Physical science that they're taking in 8th grade does not count as high school credit. So none of your students will be coming to us with high school credit in science. But they probably are coming with social studies, they may be coming with math, and they may be coming with foreign language. If they're coming to us having had foreign language in the middle school, they'll get credit for that as well. And then they'll just start in the next level with us, or they'll change the language that they're choosing. However, for a standard diploma, a student is not required to have foreign language to get a diploma. They're required to have 2 credits in foreign language, fine arts, or career and tech ed, but one of those 2 must be in career and tech ed. And to not confuse you too much, if they did do foreign language and they choose to continue with it and choose to go for the standard diploma, their foreign language could be counted towards their electives. So it's not for naught. Remember, I said most of our students take a minimum of 22 credits, that they'll go beyond that. The state of Virginia requires all students, no matter what diploma type they're pursuing, to take a course called Economics and Personal Finance. And again, we have a few different avenues of which to take that, but they must take that course to graduate. We generally don't recommend that they take that course in 9th grade. They can. We really don't recommend it only because many of them have not had enough math, and because it would probably be more beneficial the older they get, when they're learning how to apply for a loan or go to college and take out loans or get an apartment or to shop on their own. We find that it would probably be more beneficial if they waited a little while. But again, they're not totally excluded, but it is a requirement. And then they have to have at least 4 years of electives. 2 must be sequential. Sequential meaning Art 1 and Art 2, Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, Theater 1 and Theater 2, Computer Science, Principles in Computer Science A. Just 2 courses, one follows the other, must occur. And then, as I mentioned before, a verified credit. Is there anyone in here that is not familiar what a verified credit is? I'm happy. Okay. A verified credit is this. When President Bush instituted No Child Left Behind, he said that we will have end-of-course tests. And the end-of-course tests are written by the state. Our end-of-course tests currently are called SOLs, which stands for Standards of Learning. So when a student takes a class and they successfully pass the class, if there is an end-of-course test, if there is an SOL that is associated with it, they take the SOL, and if they successfully pass the SOL, they get 1 verified credit. So as an example, if we look at social studies, they need 1 verified credit in social studies. Can you all see above me, over me? Okay. They need 1 verified credit in social studies. They're taking World Civilizations 1 this year. They'll sit for the SOL because there is an SOL that goes with that. If they pass World Civ 1 and they pass their SOL, they have now satisfied this requirement. They now have a verified credit in social studies. In English, the writing and the reading is only offered in 11th grade. So they won't even take that until 11th grade.
And even though your students might take like the physical science SOL in 8th grade, it doesn't count towards the high school one.
Because it's not a high school credit. Okay, math, Again, the same thing might occur if they're taking Algebra 1 or Geometry in 8th grade. They'll sit for the SOL. They may come to us with a verified credit as well. Any questions so far? Yes?
I'm sorry, I think I heard the same thing said twice, and it sounded like you said the opposite.
Okay.
So if you, in Algebra 1, you take the SOL in 8th grade, does that count to your 3 mathematics? Or does it not?
So if a student is in 8th grade taking Algebra 1, not pre-algebra, taking Algebra 1, they would get high school credit, 1 math, Algebra 1, and they would sit for the SOL. If they pass it, they now have a verified credit in math as well.
Okay, my confusion was, I think, when you said the physical sciences 8th grade doesn't count.
Because in
It's not
8th grade, it's not a high school credit bearing class.
That's what I was missing.
Yes, sorry about that, yes.
So Spanish 1, Spanish 2 are both high school credit then?
Yes,
So
yes.
the both 7th and 8th grade would count?
Yes, yes. They'll come to us with credit from MEH.
Yeah, I didn't realize all these, okay.
Yep, yes.
And how much more language credit is required, right?
Well, we're going to go on to the next type of a diploma in a minute, which does require further language.
But for the standard diploma, there's no foreign language requirement for the standard diploma.
Nope. Yes.
For kids who are taking like half an elective, would that be like one elective box check?
Okay, so for the elective courses that the students are taking at MEH, those are not high school credit bearing classes except,
There are a few in 8th grade this year that are going to be, but they're only being awarded half a credit.
Yeah.
which ones are they?
Semester classes.
Programming, and something else.
Programming, video production, computer science 1, and intro to
Okay, then I stand corrected. I didn't know
They're
that
only
you.
half a credit. So
That's okay. So you would get they would come to us with a half a credit. We don't award the credit here at George Mason. We accept the credit that comes to us from MEH. So I apologize. I didn't realize that you had.
it would be counted as an elective credit, but it's not going to be like, it wouldn't be a full year's credit. So it's
one
kind of like,
box.
it'll be one, yeah.
And that's not a problem. That's really not a problem. They'll have plenty of time to check off all those boxes. Yes.
So if I heard you correctly, you said if you do half a year in one and half a year in another, that would still count as
Yes.
1 year.
Yes.
2 different classes, but 1 year.
Yes, but if we're talking about a standard diploma, I just want to make sure I say this though, if we're talking about a standard diploma, remember there have to be 2 electives that are sequential. So that means 2 full years of sequential. Okay, okay. Well, you don't need sequential for the advanced. Okay. Are you okay to move on to the next diploma type? Okay. So the next diploma is the advanced diploma, which requires more credits. It requires a minimum of 26 credits, a minimum of 9 verified credits. And the stakes change a little bit. What we try and do with our students is we try and encourage them to start out pursuing the advanced studies diploma. And if it's not working for them, they can fall back on the standard diploma. It's sometimes very difficult for a student when they're a junior all of a sudden deciding they want the advanced studies diploma and they haven't done foreign language. They can't get it. There's not enough time left. So it's easier to start off high and work down if need be. Yes?
And that is the reason why initially you encourage students to go to the advanced diploma. Is there any other reason? Just out of curiosity, why initially?
No, truthfully, I would say no. Because they could be doing the standard diploma and still take high-level classes. That has no bearing on it, truthfully.
So is this advanced diploma also called the IB diploma?
Okay, we're not talking IB tonight. We're talking Virginia diplomas only.
Oh, so this doesn't mean the same thing?
This has nothing to do with the IB diploma, and I'll explain that at the end.
Okay.
So then what's the difference
Between what?
between one diploma and the other? You have a high school diploma either way,
Yes,
and
if,
it gets you into college either way.
so the
So
state,
what's the value?
the state of Virginia says that in order to be considered a graduate, you must have a Virginia diploma. And what they're doing is they're giving options for taking more courses that are required. Some students, I'll just give an example. There are some students that pursue the standard diploma because they have outside requirements. They may have a job. They may not have as much time to devote to the extra schoolwork or to additional schoolwork. And so they're satisfied taking less courses and achieving a diploma by doing other things. We also have some students who transfer here from overseas that can't necessarily pursue the advanced diploma because, let's say they're transferring in the second semester of their junior year, they weren't required to take government and they weren't required to take economics and personal finance. But they still have all these other courses that they have to complete, and they may not be able to complete all of them. So they may be a good example of someone doing a standard diploma.
But all colleges look at each of these diplomas the same.
I can't say that that's true. I
What-
can say
what's
that
the difference?
I can say that the advanced diploma requires more than the standard diploma. So a college may look at one and say, bless you, great for this student. This is the student that I think will be successful at our school. And they may look at that student and say, I wish they would have pursued a little bit more. It just depends on the school, it depends on the student. A diploma is a diploma. You're not incorrect in saying that. I agree with that. But there are just different levels of them.
And a lot of the times the difference is the foreign language. A lot of times students with the standard don't have the third year of a foreign language that we'll get to in a moment. And a lot of colleges view that as a rigorous course.
Just to kind of, I'm just assuming because you guys also encourage the student to start with an advanced diploma, if they can, it's kind of almost inherent that
Right.
if they can do it, they might as well do.
Right.
More is better.
Right.
Right. But I just can't speak for individual
Like,
colleges.
they're going to get into Ivy League because they
Right.
Right.
I can't do that.
But it's not looked down on if you were to take 2 years of Spanish and 2 years of French.
No, we're going to get to that in 1 second. I promise you I'll answer that in 1 second.
Okay.
Can I go on?
Just,
Yes.
just mathematically, it looks like the standard diploma requires about 5.5 classes a year, and the advanced diploma requires about 6.5 credits a year. Is that about right?
It makes sense, yes. In order for a student in the state of Virginia to be considered a full-time student, they must be enrolled in at least 5 classes at a minimum. Okay. Okay, so for the advanced diploma, just like the standard, again, they need 4 years of English, each broken down by semesters. And here they need at least 4 years of social studies. So if they're doing World Civ 1 in 8th grade, they generally come and take World Civ 2 with us in 9th grade, and then go on to some sort of a government and then a history. Again, we have different ways and different courses of satisfying these requirements. In the social studies realm, the World Studies 1 and 2 and the U.S. history have SOLs. Government does not. So they could earn verified credits in everything there except for government. They would still get the credit for the course, but not the verified credit. They must have at least 4 years of math. They must have at least 4 years of science. And the difference here, now notice for the standard, a lot of it was 3 years. Now it's 4 years. And for the science, it's 4 years in at least 3 different disciplines: biological, chemical, physical, and earth science. Again, physical science from 8th grade, though, doesn't count. And then foreign language. For an advanced studies diploma, a student must have a minimum of 2 years of 2 different languages or a minimum of 3 years of the same language. So I can't say what a college looks at, whether they would think 2 years and 2 years is as good as 3 years of one. I think it depends on a student, what they're hoping to major in, the college, what the colleges require. But this is what the state of Virginia requires.
And this is only a minimum. Many of our students go on and take 5, 6 years of a language. Yes?
Sorry, so if they take 2 different languages, they just have to take like Spanish 1 and French 1? They don't need to take?
Spanish 1, Spanish 2, French 1, French 2.
Okay, so they would have to take 2 years.
At least 2 years of each, at a minimum. Yes?
For languages, if a student is very proficient in a language, can you just take a test and get a credit? Or do you actually have to sit in a classroom and take the course?
I'm going to let Ms. Chesley answer this question for you.
We actually partner with Fairfax County on that, and there's a credit exam in world languages in, I think maybe 11 or 12 different languages that they can earn 2 credits. And it's just, if they score proficient on this exam that's not scored by us, it's scored by Fairfax County, we would award them 2 credits in whatever that language is, Spanish. But it wouldn't have a letter grade, it would just be like a P, as if they passed it. And then they can move on to Spanish 3 or something.
But it means it's gonna be different languages, not only Spanish.
Exactly. And a lot of our students, it is the, Japanese, Korean, something like that.
Ms. Chesley's in charge of this testing for this. That's why I put her on the spot.
Where can we find out about the list of these languages?
I think it's on the Fairfax County website. You can email me. I don't know
We know nothing about it.
if, no, you,
No, you're
if-
okay.
If
You're
you,
okay.
If you give her my email address,
All right.
I can send it to you. Not a problem.
If it's a pass-fail, how does that affect the GPA?
Good question. It doesn't. It doesn't impact it at all. It's just awarded the credit.
If they receive a pass-fail on this results of this test, how does that affect the GPA or the grade point average?
And it's not factored into their grade point average.
Since you're talking about GPAs, are the MEH school courses incorporated in GPA for high school?
If the courses that they take at MEH are high school credit-bearing courses, and they've awarded credit to it, it gets averaged into their high school grade point average or grade point GPA, yes. However, I guess we're at a good point for me to make this point, and we're not going to deviate too much, right? If a middle school, if a student took a course in middle school for high school credit, and you're not satisfied with the grade for the course, or you feel you want your child to retake the course, and you don't want the previous grade to ever appear on the transcript, you have a right to request in writing to Mr. Bird to have that course expunged, which means it's completely wiped off the transcript. So let me give you an example. If a student is taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade, and the student got a C for the year, each semester they got a C, which is a 2.0 grade point average, and you're not thrilled with that, you think that the student would benefit by taking the course again, having greater preparation before moving on in math, then you would request in writing to have that course title, grade, and grade point average removed from the high school transcript, and we will do that. But it has to be courses taken in middle school. Yes?
Do you have to retake, or like, for example, if you took Spanish, did not do well, and want to start over fresh with French, say, can you expunge the
Yes.
Spanish? to
Yes.
start with French?
As long as it was taken in middle school, you certainly can. And we have had certain situations where a student has taken a course, and the parents want the course and the grade expunged, but they don't want the student to retake the course. They just want them to go on to the next level of the course. The answer to that is yes, that can occur. You can do that. It might need some explanation later on in life, in high school, to the colleges or whatever that they're applying to as to why they didn't take a certain course, because generally they take Algebra 1 before they take Algebra 2. But it can be done, and it has been done. Yes?
So the key is if they were to, like my son is taking Spanish 1, he's never taken Spanish in 8th grade, never taken Spanish at all, and he's been really been challenged because it's not an introductory course. Now in 9th grade, if he decides to try for French instead, would it be considered an introductory course for those of the children that have never been exposed to French?
Okay, so it would be the same thing. It would be French 1, and French 1 is French 1. They have not taken French before. It's
So far,
but it would be the same thing as a student taking Spanish 1 in 9th grade. So if you're asking about it being introductory, this is where I will ask, can we wait till Wednesday, February 10th, next Wednesday, where we're going to be going over the courses, and I'm going to have people from each department be able to be very specific with you on what is studied. I think that that's a better venue for that question. But the answer is yes, they could take French instead of Spanish. Okay.
So really quickly, so all these high school credit courses, since this is my first child who's done this, that they're they're taking now, let's say for example, I'm not saying weighted, that's not the right word, but for example, if your child is in geometry, is geometry in this middle school like geometry it is here?
Yes.
It's the same class.
Well, it's taught by a different teacher.
Yeah, but I mean,
But-
It's the same
But-
book,
but
it's the
they're
same.
bringing-
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
Mr. Sowers, would you say that geometry taught at MEH is the same as geometry taught at GM?
Yeah, I mean, it's an honors geometry course, so that would be different than if they were taking a regular geometry course here, but that would be the difference between the two.
which means what, honors compared to?
Okay, so what I want to share with you is I started out this evening by saying we work very closely together. Our departments also share and work together. So our math department is working with the math department there and back and forth. So, and that's why we have what we call CERTs and department leaders. They're curriculum instructional resource teachers, and they work together because we certainly don't want to set a student up for failure. Coming from MEH, expecting them to know something and putting them in a room where we're teaching it completely differently. We certainly don't want to do that.
I mean, that was my only concern.
Yeah, I would think that they're very comparable. Okay. So we talked about the science, we talked about the language. In the state of Virginia, students are required in 9th and 10th grade to take health and PE. In 10th grade, they also take a quarter, the first quarter of the year is driver ed. It's not behind the wheel, it's the classroom portion. But they're required to have health and PE for 2 years. Again, there's that economics and personal finance. And for the advanced diploma, they're required to have one fine arts or one career in tech ed at least, and then 3 other electives. And then for the SOLs, or the verified credits, now the ante has risen a little bit. Now they're required to do the English reading and writing in 11th grade, and then they need 2 verified credits in social studies, math, and science, and then they get to pick a subject of their choice for an SOL. Yes?
You said that there was some virtue in waiting a little longer to take the economics and personal finance. Basically, what does everybody do? Does everybody take it in 11th grade, or is there really some very...
You know, it really is a good question. Most of our students don't take it before their sophomore year, most of them. And they do it, again, I'm not going to get into detail tonight on courses, but they do it in different venues. We have something called High C, which is our online economics and personal finance. Some started over the summer, one summer. Some completed the following summer. Some do it as an IB course where they take IB economics their junior or senior year, that also satisfies. Some take it in our classroom, which is our economics and personal finance classroom. So there are many different avenues to take and different times to take it as well.
But they're really mixed classes, really.
Yep.
Grades 10 through 12, I'd say.
Okay, any questions so far on the 2 different diplomas for the state of Virginia? Yes?
I have a question about the math requirements of the advanced diploma. I see that you have 4 courses required beginning with Algebra 1. So if a student is taking Math 8 in 8th grade, then pre-algebra would be the next logical one.
No, if they're taking math 8 in 8th grade, they'll go into algebra in 9th.
That is pre-algebra.
Terrific, thank you.
You bet. Any other questions before we move on? Yes?
Wanted to clarify, so if so is it safe for me to assume that there could be 2 SOL only in order to get that 9 verified credits? Like for example for math?
No.
In math, there's SOLs in algebra, geometry, and algebra 2. Those are the only 3 classes that have SOLs in math.
Science has more. Science has more. Yes?
I apologize, I missed the first comment. Is there any percent, you guys mentioned any percent of who does the advanced versus?
Oh, actually, I do have that, but I don't have it on the top of my head. It's on our school profile.
Which is on our website.
It's on our website, and I might even be able to pull it up before we leave tonight. If not, it's on our school website, and it does give the percentage. And it's a much greater percentage for advanced than it is for standard.
This woman had a question if we steered our students one way or the other, and we really don't. It just depends on their strengths and their weaknesses and what's best for them. It's very individualized.
So, not talking about the IB, but what, can you, I thought the IB diploma was the advanced diploma.
No,
it's,
no.
It's something, it's like the icing on the cake.
Right, it's what we call.
Additional diploma.
And
You have to have the advanced.
no,
No, you can have the standard.
we have students who get the standard diploma and an IB diploma. But again, we have an IB information night coming up as well, that we would be happy to talk to you about IB. Right now, we're just trying to focus with you on the minimum requirements that a student will need in Virginia to graduate. I promise you, you have our word that we will help your students with whatever diplomas they want to pursue and whatever diplomas you want them to pursue. We're here to help you, but we're not here to overwhelm you either. And now they're going into 9th grade. We don't even have IB in 9th grade. So let's focus on what they need next year and how to get them there successfully and calmly.
What is it 11?
Yes, yes.
I don't think most people understand that IB doesn't start till junior year.
Okay, so I'll give a very quick overview. IB, no student can take IB courses before their junior year. It's the junior and the senior year.
And it's an IB rule, it's not a George Mason
Right.
rule.
It's not a Falls Church City rule. It's an IB World Organization rule. So again, we'll do IB, I promise you. Kelly Brown, our IB coordinator, is raring to go.
But she won't talk about Virginia diplomas.
Right, right. Okay, but see, now we're going into specific courses again. Yes, we do have some AP courses, I promise you. And we even have new AP courses for next year. But I won't share those with you until Wednesday night. Yes.
Offer a suggestion. Why don't you have the sessions combined?
We did. We used to. And we were asked not to. So, so we're only doing what we're asked to do. I'm sorry. But have them combined.
Did you have a question in the back?
Okay, I'm not trying to deter anybody from questions, but let's move on to what a high school transcript looks like. And then again, we're here to answer questions. I am hoping to get you out of here by 8 o'clock because your children are probably waiting for you, or you want to see what they're up to and get home. But these are just some examples, mock examples that we've put together to give you some different scenarios as to what goes on a high school transcript. For those of you who have not had high school students and don't remember what your transcript looked like, this is a student who's a non-IB diploma student. We've obviously blackened out some information, but it always has the student's name, birth date, grade, class, student ID, state ID, home address, and so forth. Much of this information is required from the state of Virginia. We don't just decide what we want to put on a transcript. A lot of it is required. It will list the school, the address, the phone numbers. And I thought it listed our principal's name.
No.
Okay. This is enter date is the date they entered high school. And then when they graduate, we put a graduation date on here.
And the diploma type.
And the diploma type. This student is pursuing the standard diploma. His counselor or her counselor was Miss Goldman, and then other pertinent information. What I wanted to share with you here is this student, this transcript is from when a student was here at George Mason in 8th grade. Not when it was George Mason Middle and High School, but when it was George Mason High School before the 8th graders went back to MEH. So this student took World Civ 1. This is the course number. The student got a D in the course and got a half a credit. That was the first semester of 8th grade. It then shows the credits attempted. It shows how many credits they completed. And it says weighted GPA because that's what our system does. It gives the grade point average just for that semester. So this student took 1 semester, 2 semesters, all in 8th grade, had a D and a C. First semester's grade point average was a 1.0. Second semester's average was a 2.0. At the end of the entire transcript, when they're all done, we have something called a cumulative GPA, which is the grade point average of everything they've done in high school. So that's their overall grade point average. This is broken down by semester. This is the overall grade point average. Yes?
Do you use the same system that MEH uses where they start with numerical values and then convert to letter grades?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Use the same scale?
You're on a 10-point scale as well. Yes. And
I mean where the minus and the plus.
yes, but there's no, just so you're all aware, there's no extra credit at this moment granted for a plus, no less granted for a minus. So a B minus is worth 3 quality points. A B plus is worth 3 quality points as well.
So it's an A, B, C, D.
Correct. Correct. Yes.
When you said a weighted GPA,
Mhm.
just focusing in on advanced or standard, not going anywhere else.
Right.
Is there a greater weight, like, depending on when the student takes it?
No, but that's an excellent question. So for those of you who couldn't hear the question, when we talk about weighted grade point averages, really what does that mean? Does it mean when a student took a class, or does it mean a course that might have extra weight added onto it? And the answer is all of our IB, AP, which is advanced placement, and DE, which is dual enrollment courses, all of them have additional weights added onto them. So if a B is worth 3 points, which it is, but it turns out that it's an IB course, it becomes a weighted grade. So instead of a B being worth 3 points, it's now worth 4 points. None of our honors courses are weighted. So even though it might say honors, they're not weighted. The only courses that are weighted are IB, AP, and DE.
They're +1.
+1 for the year. For the year, yes.
What's DE?
Dual enrollment.
What does that mean?
Well, we'll talk about that too, but those are courses where our instructors are teaching them here at George Mason High School. They're also certified by NOVA. They wind up getting NOVA credit and George Mason High School credit.
Northern Virginia Community College.
Can we, so for example, okay, let's say we finish whatever we're finished, in the senior year, do we have some kind of reciprocity thing with George Mason University as well, or are we?
No, we don't, but NOVA does.
So our child who is a senior could actually take college classes in the senior year?
At NOVA? I don't understand you.
At George
Nova?
Mason,
At
we
George-
offer dual enrollment classes, and you don't have to necessarily be a senior.
No, you have to be at least 16 years old, you have to pass a placement test, and you have to be in good standing. Okay, so just go back one more quick second. I just wanted to share with you at the end of the transcript also, it talks about total credits attempted, earned and not earned, and how many verified credits. This student attempted 21.5 credits, but this student only earned, I think it's 18.5, I can't see from here, because the student did not pass all of his or her classes. So all of that is revealed on a transcript. It's just, I want everything to be transparent for you. I want you to see what might show up on a transcript.
I take it less credits were required back then?
Well,
This student didn't graduate. This student hadn't graduated yet.
Oh,
He's only a junior.
and you can see there's the work in progress, so it's probably, the beginning
Yeah.
of senior year.
okay.
And we do as well list the work in progress. So if somebody wants to see what a student is currently working on, we do list that.
Will you be showing an example of what it looks like when a kid has had 8th grade classes stricken from their record?
You won't see anything. It won't be there.
Okay, so say you had French 1, you didn't make a great grade, and you went on to French 2, but you wanted French 1 left off, you just see French 2.
Correct. That was the scenario I was using earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, got it.
Absolutely. Yes.
So for students that transfer the year,
I'm going to show you a sample of what a transcript would look like for a student to transfer in here. Okay.
The other thing that's on here are absences, and that's something that the state requires us to put on the transcripts too. How many absences they had per year.
How many you had last year?
How many are you allowed? And you'll find this in our Program of Studies book. For our double block classes, each quarter, you can't have more than 6. Otherwise, you're apt to get something called an FNA, which stands for failure due to non-attendance. Now, sometimes students are offered time to make up some of those absences. If for our everyday block, it's 12 absences. Okay.
Even if illness?
Even if it's illness, but if it's illness, then we work with the student to actually make up the time. We're talking about kids that are just not showing up.
Yes.
If you do poorly in class, you take a class over, does the grade place? Or can you take a class over and have a grade place?
That's very interesting. It's a good question. Did everybody hear? Okay. If your student took a course and they didn't do very well in the course and they retake the course, does it all appear on the transcript, and how does it appear? And the answer is yes, it does all appear. As of right now, it does all appear, and what happens is the higher grade is the one that's given the credit to the course. So if you take Algebra 1 and you get a C, and you retake Algebra 1 and get a B, the C and the B will both appear, but the credit will go towards the one with the B. And the GPA. Correct.
But if you fail any class, you can take any class over. But you can't. You can only take.
No,
classes
just
over
language and math.
And language and math.
You've only taken those two grades.
Yes.
So if a student got it.
You can take it.
If you fail, you can take it in any subject. But if you just want a better grade, it's only in math and foreign language.
Okay, so this may answer your question. This happened to have, I'll just go down one more second, that's okay. This happened to have been a student that started at George Mason. They left, they went to an international school, and then they came back to George Mason. It would be the same as if a student started at another school, an international school, and came to George Mason. So what we do on the transcript, can you just scroll just a little, yeah. What we do on the transcript is we list the courses that the student actually took at their other school. We list their grade. Notice there's no course number because we don't have the same course numbers, but the title of the course is listed so colleges will be able to see exactly what courses they've taken. We also, in certain instances, when students are applying to colleges, if they come to us with another transcript and they think that their other transcript gives additional information that might benefit them, we'll submit the other transcript along with our transcript to colleges. Again, we're here to work with the kids. We want to do what's best for them. We're not here to try and hurt them in any way. So this shows what a student who transfers in would look like. This happens to be 2 of our High C courses, which are our online courses. We don't put High C on the transcript. Our numbers designate that for us, but I just wanted you to see how that would appear on the transcript as well.
And the reason why that's on there is because this student finished the whole class before the end of the first semester. That's why there's only semester 1 grade for the High C classes. So they might have started in the summer and finished it in December or something.
But they took both parts of it.
Just a quick question. My daughter transferred junior year. This is her first year at George Mason. She's from another state. She took AP and what they call the pre-AP, which was recognized as advanced level. So then when you calculate the GPA at the end of her school year here as a senior, would they recognize all those courses?
They will recognize the AP courses.
AP courses and pre-AP courses?
Well,
she wasn't allowed to take AP courses as a freshman or sophomore. So only option she had was on certain classes, she had to take pre-AP rather than AP. So
You know, in order to answer that, I'd have to look at it honestly and see. I couldn't answer that without looking at it. I know for sure the AP would be weighted, but I'm not sure about the pre-AP.
typically pre-AP isn't weighted, and we don't weight like our honors classes, so. But like this student who came from this school was an IB diploma candidate, or took a lot of IB classes, and we're given the weight for them. So you can see it says IB and AP.
So actually, this system works for the international students because you go ahead with the standard diploma taken the history class.
But not all of them are in that boat, because now we offer like government online and different avenues. So some of them can still get the advance,
So
not
they
all,
still
but.
catch up. But that's where the IB would kick in.
Why are you so concerned with IB tonight?
Well, I'm trying to figure out because I have 3 kids and I have not followed it right.
Ms. Reyes will help your children.
How many high C courses are there?
A lot. There really are. Our program of studies, we've just about finalized next year's program of studies, and there's a whole page that lists every one of them, and it will be on our website, I'm hoping by the end of this week. If not, I hope to have a copy for you next Wednesday night. But there's an abundance of high C courses.
We pretty much have a high C class in most core subjects.
And the premise behind that is either catch up or get ahead, basically.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. That's a great way to put it.
How many dual?
Or to open up other opportunities to take other courses.
How many dual enrollment?
Again, we're getting into courses. I'll share that with you next week. I promise. I promise. Yes.
So if like you were saying, that if someone doesn't do well in like a math or a science class, and then you want them to retake it to maybe get a better grade the next time, but when would they retake that class? Would that be a high C opportunity?
So as Ms. Chesley said, they cannot take a course for a better grade in anything other than math and world languages.
Oh, world language, okay, got it.
Yes.
So math or world language, okay,
Right.
so say they got a C, and you want them to take it over again and try to get a better grade the next time. So would that be the only way they can do it would be high C, or is there another way? When and how would they retake that class?
Well, I guess if it was like Spanish, they would probably just take
Redo the
Spanish
course.
1 the next year. If it was a math and they really wanted to move ahead, they would probably want to like take Algebra 1 again over the summer or
I was
something.
going to say, like, can they take it in the summer?
Yeah.
Or
It's just hard to do a full year in the summer. It really is hard to complete a full year in the summer.
high C is something for that then?
Even high C for a full course in a summer, it's a lot. Hybrid learning, where we have a teacher in the room, but it's online. High C stands for hybrid learning. It's they're online courses, and we have teachers in the classroom to help the students along. Why would we do that? Would you like to share why a student might do?
Seems like you could get ahead. You could get classes out of the way and build up space.
And sometimes students want to pick up another elective, as an example, or another course. So some students actually do high C classes outside of the school day. It's not part of their schedule. But again, we're getting into courses here.
Do we see this report at the end of the school year?
The transcript?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
at
could-
any time you could call the counselor and we'd be happy to.
I will say at the middle school, they're not going to have this yet.
Right.
Because they haven't completed anything. But that will be something that once they get past 8th grade.
Absolutely, and we share it with anybody, I shouldn't say with anybody, with any student or parent who would like to see it, for sure.
Only with contact counselor.
It's not online.
Online.
No, 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 no,
Not
no,
online.
no.
You have to email us and we send you like a PDF version of it.
Okay, let's scroll. Okay, this says IB certificates up top, just so you know, they're not called IB certificates anymore, they're called IB courses. This is a student who is going for the advanced diploma, who's simply taking some IB courses. So what I wanted to point out on this transcript, not because there's an IB certificate student or courses student, is this student was a student aide. So something like being a student aide doesn't have any credit associated with it, but the student would like colleges to know that they didn't take a study hall, they took something to benefit somebody. So they've requested that we put student aid on here. N, the letter grade N stands for no grade intended. It has no bearing on the grade point average whatsoever. It just shows that they were busy doing something else. And then, what do I have on the right here? Oh, now this is something that has since changed. So I don't even know if I should show you. But if I'm going to confuse you, I might as well go all the way. So this student took IB Math SL and withdrew from the course. In the past, we used to have something called WP, withdrew passing, meaning they were passing at the time they withdrew, WF, which is withdraw fail, which means they were actually failing the course when they chose to withdraw, or simply W. We don't have any of them anymore. If a student withdraws from a class, it's not on their transcript.
Another thing to know is our entire grading scale and what an N means and all that kind of stuff is on our transcript. So colleges can understand how we operate.
Can I ask a question on that? How soon can you withdraw from the class, or like by what?
Well, we like to think that a student would stay in, how soon can you withdraw from a class? We like to think that a student is giving the course and the teacher and themselves enough time to see if they would be successful in the class. So in other words, if they walk into a room and they decide a week later that they want to withdraw, I'm not so sure that they gave it a fair shot. But maybe they were totally over their heads, and maybe that is really not the right class. Then that is an opportunity for a student to withdraw. We don't have a time limit, but we do have a time limit when a student can pick up another class. They can only pick up another class within the first 10 days of each semester, because at that point we feel if it's gone beyond that, they've missed too much classroom instruction, and now they're playing catch up. But withdrawal, there's not a specific date.
If they withdraw, where do they then go?
It depends. They might go into a high C class. They might go into a study hall, which somewhere. But we would encourage them, especially the younger students, not to take a study hall. We're not looking for 9th graders to take study halls, by the way. We would like for them to be in a productive room, having fun and learning something. Okay. Is that the end of it? Okay, so those are just some samples of transcripts. And the transcripts are what colleges see. So that's what will be sent to the colleges along with other information. Any questions? Yes? What is a study hall? A study hall means that they're not in an academic or an elective class, but they're assigned a room to go to where we would hope that they would study.
And there's no credit. Sorry?
Like library?
No.
It's an actual classroom.
I say we would like for them to study. We're not so sure that's what happens.
Yes, there's a proctor.
So every period of every day you're accounted for somewhere. You physically play somewhere.
Yeah, but there's always an exception, and I have to give you the exception, and those are our seniors. So our seniors can apply for something called senior study, which means if they don't have a class, an academic or an elective class, they're free in the building.
They're free in the building?
Yes.
Most of them go to the library.
Yeah, or they sit in the senior alcoves and they. But look, your kids are only going to be in 9th grade. They don't have 9th grade study. They don't have any of that. They're accounted for all day.
Yes.
Yeah, you said that the state of Virginia requires you to be taking a minimum, I can't remember, 5 or 6 classes.
5 for full-time student.
So, but what is the normal number of classes and what is the range?
That's great.
And does the student work with a counselor because some classes are known to be much more difficult or have a heavier workload, so you compensate by taking fewer?
Got great questions. So our students take 7 classes. We expect our 9th graders to be in 7 classes during the day. They work with the counselors work with them. They'll work with Mr. Sowers to register for next year's classes, and again, we're going to talk about that Wednesday. Mr. Sowers for next year's classes, and then we work with them once they get here. But we expect them to be in a classroom.
I have a question. Now they have A days and B days. 7, are you saying 7 every day?
No. 7 total courses for a semester.
And they're not necessarily every day.
Right, it's 4 a day with one of those being every day.
I got it. Thank you.
Has this been helpful or somewhat helpful? Okay, good.
No, you cannot access these transcripts online. You can send the counselor an email, and we'd be happy to email you a PDF version now at any time.
And something else that you'll see once you get here, the middle school is starting to use it this year, something called Naviance, which you will also use in the high school. And you will have access to certain, they haven't started yet, you will have access to certain information in Naviance that will give your students grade point average and all that. That'll be in there as well. But we'll share that with you in the fall at our round robin night, where I know you're all going to come, and we'll give you a lot of information on that.
We actually do this session in round robin, so you don't have to go to it.
Yeah, and you know what? If you forget what was said tonight or you were confused, they're taping it for us. It's going to be on the MEH website. And really, if you want to hear this again, I'll be at MEH tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock doing the exact same thing if you'd like to join us. But next Wednesday night, seriously, is very, very important. If you can make it, it'll be here at 7 o'clock going over different courses available for your students. So if you have any questions, like right off the top of your head, you might think about writing them down before next week, so we don't miss your questions. Is there anything else we could have given you tonight that would have made you a little calmer, a little...
Besides combining.
Besides combining. And I'm going to take that up with somebody, combining the nights, because...
Are you talking about the IB?
Right, Alyssa? Will you vouch for me?
The IB and this and the course registration?
Because it seems we keep wandering back into the courses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, but we're only doing what we were asked.
No, no.
I do have one clarification.
Sure.
For the SOL requirement, the 9 credit, verifying credit, so do you take for students that are transferred later in their school year?
Great question. A student who transfers in later on in their high school year, are they required to have all 9 verified credits? And the answer is no. And that's in our program of studies as well. It delineates based on the year that they start what is required.
So you use the N program instead of the Power School?
No. That's an additional feature. Don't.
So you do
We use Power School.
Oh, we use Power School, absolutely. And Schoology.
I just thought, well,
Yeah,
Schoology
no.
sounds totally different.
Yeah.
Naviance is more of a college and career resource.
That will have specific information about your child on it as well. Any other, look at this, 7:57. We did great. Thank you so much.